What is up, guys? DZ here, and as most of you know, or as some of you know, I really like Fluffals. I think they're adorable, and I think their strategy is kind of neat. They just got a ton of support in crossover souls, and I thought I would show you a deck profile using some of the new support. It's really good. It makes the deck be able to be more pure, and as a result, be more consistent. And it makes it so you don't have to play so many bad cards. So I think it's really cool. And once again, I want to mention, or not once again, but just in general, I want to mention that when I play decks like this that are more casual, first off, I'm just completely ignoring the meta. I'm not playing cards to beat Necroz. If you want to check out decks that play cards to beat Necroz, you can look at maybe my Chronomaly, my Volcanic. This would be 100% for a casual setting or a locals. I'm not aiming to change the meta with this deck. And also, I wanted to mention that I play cards that I think are good, not necessarily fun. I think that even though the deck itself is fun, you don't have to play bad cards that would be quote unquote fun. An example of this would be like in Crystal Beast, I refuse to play stuff like Rainbow Dragon or Emerald Tortoise or stuff like that that fits the theme but just doesn't help the deck in a competitive manner. You can be competitive with a fun deck in a casual setting, if that all makes sense. So I'll go through the stuff that's old pretty fast, and I'll talk about the new stuff a little bit. I'm playing 3 Fluffal Dog, 2 Fluffal Owl. I cut 1 Owl because you have a lot of normal summons now, and I feel that it's just not necessary at 3. We're also playing 2 Bear, 2 Rabbit, and 2 Cat. I've considered bumping up the Rabbit to 3, but I think it works just fine at 2 in general. Then we're playing 1 Fluffal Sheep, which is one of the new guys. Sheep is basically a Yugioh accelerator, and then you can bounce a different Fluffal back to your hand to special an Edge Imp from your graveyard. The main combo is if you have an Edge Imp in your graveyard, you can normal summon dog, special sheep with that you would add with the dog, and then bounce back the dog to your hand and special an Edge Imp, and then you could reuse the dog on a later turn. So that's a pretty neat combo, and it's a +2, so I think that's pretty cool. And then for our Edge Imps, we're playing 2 Saw, and I will talk about him for a second. When he's normal summoned, you get to discard a Fluffal, and then you draw 2 cards and put 1 card in your hand on top of your deck. It's a 2-for-2 play that sets up your deck for Toy Vendor, as well as just super thinning, and also the Frightfur monster you can make with him is really powerful. We're also playing 2 Edge Imp Chain, which now that I look at it, every time I look at it, I think it looks like a motor for a car. But Edge Imp Chain is also very powerful, just in a different way. So when you use him, when he's sent from the hand or the field to the graveyard, you can add a Frightfur card from your deck to your hand. Now you might be thinking, what Frightfur cards in the main deck are? Well, they just got a Miracle Fusion called Frightfur Fusion, so you can fuse with this using Polymerization and another Fluffal monster to summon a guy, and then add a Frightfur Fusion to your hand, and then use Frightfur Fusion to banish the cards you just used for a fusion summon to make another fusion monster. And also you can attack with him to add another copy of him to your hand, but that doesn't come up too often. I'm only playing 1 Edge Imp Sabers because I feel it's not as great anymore. It was okay when the Tour Guide engine was legal, but it was never like great. And now that there's more like Edge Imp cards you can play, I think he's fine at 1. And then let's play 1 Edge Imp Tomahawk. This is a new guy. Basically, he's a cowboy. You can send an Edge Imp from your hand to the graveyard to inflict 800 to your opponent. More importantly, he's a Prisma, so you can send any Edge Imp from your deck to the graveyard to copy their name. That's helpful for getting Sabers to the grave, so you don't have to play multiple Sabers. Also testing out Edge Imp Frightfur Lloyd. This guy looks really fucking weird, but he basically is being used because no matter where he is treated as a Frightfur monster. So you can search him out with Chain, but more importantly, you can make this big guy Frightfur Chimera that takes 3 Frightfur monsters, not 3 Fluffal monsters. So it's a little bit... The Frightfur monsters in general are the fusion monsters, but this guy counts as a Frightfur, so he's used as that. Also, he can copy the attack and defense of a Frightfur monster in your graveyard, but more importantly, he's a Frightfur card. We're also playing 2 copies of Veiler and 2 copies of Max C. I feel these cards are very powerful right now against a lot of Rogue, especially. And Max C is good because it gives you so many draws to do combos with. For our fusion lineup, we're actually playing 3 of the Miracle Fusion and 2 of the regular Polymerization. I feel the Polymerization is a lot more recyclable because you can add it back to your hand with Cat. And then also you can search it with like Owl, and you can add it back with Bear and all this other shit. Where Frightfur Fusion is only searchable by your freaking chain. So I want to say engine. I was like, shit, what is it actually? So I think the 3 and 2 is a pretty good lineup. We're also playing 2 copies of Toy Vendor. I think 3 is just way too overkill, especially now that we dropped Summoner Monk. And we're playing 2 Suture Rebirth. This is just a Monster Reborn for Fluffal or Fright for monsters, but negates their effects. It might seem weird that we're only playing 2 of them, but I felt that it's a lot easier to recycle Fluffal cards than it is Edge Imp cards. So more Fluffals in general isn't going to like super help you out. So I think just 2 is fine. You can only activate 1 per turn anyway, but maybe I'll bump it up to 3 in the future. We're also playing a couple staples, Regeki, Book, and Lance. I think those are fine. We're not playing dualities or upstarts. Duality seems okay early game, but you just special summon so much anytime after like the first couple turns that it just seems like dead cards. Then upstart, this deck can push out 8,000 pretty easily, not so much 9,000, so I don't think upstart's fine. And you have a lot of different cards that you want to draw, so I think upstart isn't completely necessary. Our trap lineup is pretty thin. We're playing 2 Designer Fright Fur. This is, I think, a better version of Suture Rebirth. It's just a little bit slower. So you can special summon an Edge Imp or a Fluffal monster from your graveyard, and then it's treated as a Fright Fur monster for a fusion summon. It also doesn't negate its effects, which is kind of relevant. Occasionally, especially with the Edge Imp sabers, or the Edge Imp cards, it's more relevant. But with this guy, or this trap, I should say, as well as this ugly piece of shit, that meets the requirements for 2 different Fright Furs, so you can make Chimera, or you can almost make Chimera just with these 2. Then if you just have any other Fallen Fright Fur card, then I think you got Chimera, and Chimera is like the best card in the deck, but I'll talk about that in a second. We're also playing 2 Trap Stun and 1 Warning. I've considered playing 3 Trap Stun, but we're not going to. And then for the extra deck, I don't have the full extra deck. I just have the cards that you need to play. Definitely Fright for Chimera. This takes 3 Fright for monsters. It's a Yugioh, it's a Armades, and it gains 300 attack for every monster you control that was originally owned by your opponent. So it's kind of insane, a little hard to get out, but look how cute he is. We're also playing 2 Fright for Leo. You can make this using Edge Imp Saw and then any other Fluffal monster. So it's a lot. In the past, the only Fright Fur that took just 2 was Fright for Bear, which is just like a horrible card in every sense of the word. Unsurprisingly, I'm not playing it. But this guy is a lot better. So he just takes Saw and a Fluffal monster like I just said, and then he's strictly just a Volcasaurus, which is really helpful for this deck. We're also playing 2 Fright for Sheep. This guy is made with Edge Imp Chain and then any Fluffal monster, and he's really neat too. So he's also an Armades, just like Fright for Chimera, or I guess just like Armades. And then whenever he's destroyed, you can just bring him back, and then he goes to 2,800 attack points, and that's really cool. And then we're also playing 2 Fright for Wolf. He's a little harder to bring out because you have to make him with Edge Imp Sabers, not any of your other Edge Imp cards, but overall, I would say he's like pretty cool, just not the best. Like, you still need him. I don't think you need 3 of them, but I think 2 is just fine. And then we're not playing Bear because that card's horrible. And then I just included some rank 4s that you should probably play. There's still 3 extra slots. You might want to include rank 3s or something. But I would make sure that you have Dweller, Castell, Exiton, 101, and Cowboy. Those are all pretty standard rank 4 cards. I didn't think it was necessary for me to dig through all my rank 3s and rank 4s to find shit to put in this video. But mainly just make sure you have these fusion cards as well as these 5 rank 4s. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this Fluffal update, and please let me know if you have any comments or questions about it. Last time after I posted it, someone pointed out like some really cool Summoner Monk combos, and then I like had to completely change the deck. So, but I think this time it's a little more. I think this is pretty good. I don't think I missed any like huge combos that I should be thinking of. But overall, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you later. Bye.